Hey, we're just waiting on the World Health Organization's live update here. This is the new one for February 8th. Yeah, we'll
Good
just...
afternoon, everyone, from Geneva, from WHO headquarters, for the regular press conference on novel coronavirus. I would like to announce that the press conference will be delayed by 30 minutes, so hopefully we will start at half-past 4 Geneva time. Thank you very much for understanding and hope to talk to you very soon.
All right, well, it's going to be delayed. So, yeah, we'll check out some latest updates here. So, yeah, the cruise ship, it's just more positive cases coming out of there. I'm not really focusing on the numbers so much right now because we're having a big problem testing for this. People are showing up negative when they're positive, and it's really tough to test for. Here's a case here with the woman in her 20s. It was Ontario's third case. Where are we here? So the patient returned from Wuhan, China, which is said to be the epicenter of the outbreak, to Toronto and took a private vehicle to her home in London, Ontario. The woman said, or officials said, the woman was asymptomatic, meaning she wasn't showing any symptoms. She wasn't ill. She felt great. When she arrived on January 23rd, however, they said she began to exhibit symptoms of the virus the next day and went to hospital. So it was about 36 hours kind of time span when she went to the hospital by the time she hit ground. And Chief Medical Officer Dr. David Williams said the woman originally tested negative for the virus. However, after additional testing, she was found to be positive. So there's cases like this coming out of Japan. There's so much we don't know about this, but now this here, I'll touch on that in a second. And Dr. Lee, of course, Dr. Lee Dr. Lee Win-Lang, and he broke the story on the whole thing, right? And they arrested him. He tried to say, hey, tell everybody what was going on, and they arrested him. But hey, we're supposed to believe the numbers coming out of China, right? There's no oversight on this. It's just whatever China feels like they want to tell us. Wow, 2,394. That went up 1,000 in one day, almost recovered. But I don't know if you can see very well here. I'll bring this up a little bit. These are all out of China. These recovered cases. There's nowhere else in the world that anybody else has recovered from this except China, because they're miraculous down there, and I don't believe any of these numbers, or not even close. The cruise ship, however, those numbers are quite accurate. And so far, a third of the tests that are being done are coming back positive. We know that you can be testing negative for this, and there's a lot of people on these ships, right? Like to do 3,000 tests would take probably about a good a week at least. And that's just focusing all your resources on that kind of thing, because you got to think every lab in the world right now is getting flooded with these samples, so they're backlogged already at the laboratories. And not to say like whatever's going on, China's got quarantines, lockdowns going on. Everybody's inside now, and they've expanded it to more cities, including 52 cities. So yeah, and there's another 3 people, so 64 is the number right now, and that is out of 279 tests. But the first 3 tests that were sent away, if I can find this here, where are we? Coronavirus outbreak. There was 31 tests originally sent And of the 31 tests, 10 people came back positive. So that's a third. And then they did a bit more testing, and I think it's out of 107 tests now that, or no, 171, that 64 are positive. So that's still a third, right? And those are crazy numbers, because these people have only been aboard this ship for apparently, 5 days, and a third of them got it already, and now they're being quarantined on this ship where the air is circulating. There's a really interesting article we're going to get in here about that this might be airborne, and if it is airborne, everybody in any closed environment with anybody is at risk, like very high risk. But we'll go into that after. And it is only just a suggestion. We don't know. It's just a report on it, so I don't know. We'll wait for the World Health Organization and see what their latest updates are on this. But I wouldn't count on anything concrete. They're still trying to do tests and gather data on this. They got the world's best scientists working around the clock, and nobody can figure out what the hell this thing is. And that's concerning. That definitely, because the last coronaviruses, they kind of knew right away. They said, okay, well, yeah, this jumped from this, or, this came from here. And they tracked it down pretty quick. This here, they don't have a clue. China's covering up stuff. They arrested their doctors. The whole country is outraged at their government now because of this, and the doctor died. If they couldn't save a doctor, what the hell? You'd think they'd put every goddamn resource they had into trying to keep this guy, right? I don't know, maybe not. But anyway, they're pretty strapped for resources over there. They're only going. City of Wuhan is only allowed 2,000 tests per day. For like the microbiology lab. Those are the most conclusive tests. Those are the best tests. And they're only being allowed 2,000 because, these test kits are low. And they are. The World Health Organization said that they're having a problem with them. And, they got to ration them now. Especially in China, where there's like 1 billion people. It's not like they just have a few billion of these tests kicking around somewhere in a storage locker. Because these tests had to be specially developed for this type of virus, right? You just can't use anything to test it. Anyways, they're resorting to a different method of testing, which is not so accurate and almost never picks it up, but the person could be showing every symptom of it, and unless the test picks it up, they have to say that, you don't have it. And the nurses there are saying, we almost can determine that, yes, this person has it. They have every symptom of it, and they're in an advanced stage, but the tests aren't coming up because they're using this secondary method of testing that's not very accurate at all. And even if they can get to the hospital, because there's now a method that you have, or a procedure that you have to go through just to get a ticket to get to see a doctor. And even if you get the ticket and go to the hospital and see the doctor and they say, yes, you have it, they can't admit you. And they can't do any tests unless they admit you. The hospitals are all full. It's a catch-22 situation. They're sending people away who are infected, and the numbers are so wrong. Unbelievably wrong. I would bet my paycheck that this here, I'm thinking maybe 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 34 million maybe. You got to think about that, right? Like there's 1 billion people over there. 1.4 billion, 0.4, that's 400, 400 million people. 34 million people infected isn't a big number over there. I would say that's 34 million. I'd put 3 zeros in the back of that. Total deaths, you could put 1 or 2 zeros in the back of that. And that's just guessing, right? Of course, but like the magnitude of response on every level to attack this thing is beyond anything that's ever happened in the world. ever, for any virus. And everybody's like, well, it's just a flu, don't worry, it's all good. Wait till you go try and buy a fucking screen for your iPhone next time. They're not making them anymore. There's nothing there. The production has shut down for almost all computer components because they can't export them. There's nothing getting in, there's nothing getting out. How are you going to sell them to the world market? And nobody's going to buy shit from there, or the virus infested place that, it could come over on the packaging. Really, it could. We don't know. So it's a lot, right? It's huge. And it's, the cruise ship is just people after people after people. And you know what? Most of them aren't going to make it. Maybe the young ones, but they say you can't cure this. Once you have it, you got it. Kind of thing. So there's, you know what I mean? We don't know how long this thing takes, maybe for it to kill the host. It could be 3-4 months. Look, Dr. Ling, he was in the ground zero hospital where all this happened. He was right at ground zero when it all fell down, and it all started, I guess. And he got infected. He would have been one of the first ones infected, right? Because in the hospital, and it did get through the whole hospital. It infected people that didn't have it, who were patients in the hospital. It's just a disaster. This thing is evil, and we have no idea what it is, and we're just letting people come on to shore and come on over here, and like, oh my fuck, it's obviously way bigger, right? But anyway, he would have been the first one to contract it. One of the first ones, that are on record. And now he just died yesterday or the day before. So that might have been like 3 months. All right, 2 months or 3 months. Well, we don't really know. We can't assume to say that he caught it right away, or that it was, he caught it earlier. But anyways, it's a lot of... They're saying that the gestation period is up to 2 weeks. What if it's up to 4 weeks? You know what I mean? Like, it could be, like, it's hitting everyone different. They're saying cases anywhere from 1 day all the way up to 14 days. So, like, people that are coming in contact with this for the first time, boom, they're showing symptoms the next day. And, like, another person that comes in contact with this, they might not show symptoms or anything for 2 weeks. And everybody's case files seem to be different. I'm not a doctor or nothing, but I was going through all, like, the first, like, and this is available on the New England Journal of Medicine, all of the case files of everyone in the U.S. so far. And it kind of goes through, there's all the, particulars of everything, and the only thing common in each one is that everybody's got it, and everybody's got different symptoms at different times, different stages. So it's very, very big mystery. So anyways, let's go into this. I just touched on this the other moment there before I started this stream. But here, aerosol transmission fuels jitters. And if and this is February 8th. Oh my goodness, what just happened there? Did I just okay. Alright, so coronavirus latest. Shortages persist, aerosol transmission fuels jitters. Let's just check this again. China's grappling with an outbreak of infectious from a new coronavirus that began in December. Claxon Global will continue covering the story as it develops. Please check in regularly for updates. And there's nothing. What did they do? Did they take it down? I don't know. No, here it is. But okay, 34,006. But you can't even look at those numbers. A tough fight. It's now more than 2 weeks since the government locked down the 11 million in the city of Wuhan in a bid to halt the spread. Why does it keep doing that? Okay. An emerging need to improve diagnostic accuracy for the public health is returning worrying numbers. Yes, false negatives fueling concerns that the virus may have spread further than reported. Some people. Can you shut the door, please, and thank you? Oh my goodness, I'm terrible with this mouse. Some people with symptoms have undergone CT scans showing viral infection in the lungs, but not been diagnosed with the coronavirus, as so-called nucleic acid tests perhaps inaccurately returned negative results. And there was a case also from one of the cases from the U.S. That they couldn't find it in his blood. You know, in his blood he was tested negative, but in his stool and in his urine he was testing positive. So wow, you know what I mean? Like, this thing is just a total mystery. And shortage of medical staff and supplies persist, especially in the lower profile cities in Hubei, the stricken province where the Wuhan is located. The mayor said Thursday that the city has only 3 days worth of medical supplies. I could say, you know what I mean? No, they're gone. They've been long gone for medical supplies. They've been hurting. Like, they asked the UK for help, but they still haven't taken the US's help. But the US isn't offering supplies. They're offering experts to go in and figure out what or where this is coming from. They're not actually offering supplies, and that's why China had never said, hey, yeah, come on over, because they're going to go in there and they're going to tear that place apart and find out what's going on, right? Once you give them permission to do that, you're just basically saying, here, you know, and it'd be like the National Guard and all those kind of people that'd be going over to conduct this, and, you know, health, obviously scientists and people who are very smart. So aerosol transmission again fueled public fears of infection. The novel coronavirus can be transmitted through aerosols. A Shanghai official cited health experts. Link in Chinese. As saying at a press briefing on Saturday, means that a person can get infected by viruses through inhalation of the mix of air and infected patient's droplets. Multiple studies have found the virus, such as the SARS and H5N1 bird flu viruses, can be transmitted through aerosols, which can be spread in the air for a long time. It's good, eh? Good stuff. We're still waiting on live coverage here. They're delayed. You know, they're always delayed, and you could rightfully imagine why. You know, these guys are probably worked right off their arses right now at every level, and I think everybody's trying to scramble here, and instead of being you know, proactive, the world is now being reactive, and well, that doesn't usually work so well, and it's not working so well for it's not working so well for China. All right, I'm gonna go make my little fella grilled cheese sandwich. It'll take a second here, or a cheese sandwich. Anyways, I will be back in 5 minutes or so. Stick around. This will be, I'm sure, an interesting update. So yeah, stick around.
system here. It's Saturday in Geneva. We're doing our best, and so bear with us. You can also chat to us, and you should be getting a video if you're using your computer screen. We're also live on Twitter. I think that's all I have to say for now. So if you have any questions, hit us up any way you can, and we will look forward to start in approximately 9 minutes. Thank you very much. All I have to say for now. You can submit. Thank you very much.
9 minutes. All right, stick around for that. My back in 5 minutes sign is upside down. I shall try and fix that on the fly.
I have to say. You can.
9 minutes. All right, stick around for that. My back in 5 minutes sign is up. All right.
I left my advisory up there.
I'm back. We're gonna say, just gonna check my sound here.
Oh, you have it.
Check mic check. Test 1 2. Sound test. Sound test. Make sure this is rolling. All right, we're gonna watch the World Health Organization give a live update here. Yeah, we're gonna check out what these guys have to say. See if they learned anything. Is that wine? That looks like wine. They're probably all drunk. If I was in their spot, that's I'd be drunk. Woo! Let's just party. Everybody, just let's have a big party. Mic check, test 1. Sound test, sound test. Make sure this is rolling. There's still no sound coming through on the video as of yet. They just never put their audio on. I'm assuming it'd be funny if they gave the whole speech and the audio was off. But anyway, yeah, checking out. It's all. We'll come back to that. I can hear the audio once they start. So some latest news. You know, there's cases coming out of China now. Aerosol transmission has again fueled public fears of infection. That wasn't me. The novel coronavirus can be transmitted through aerosols, a Shanghai official cited. So it's airborne. And that's, well, I shouldn't say it is. That's just one health expert. And he's from Shanghai. I don't know, it's just one thing. But we'll see what the World Health Organization has to say. If they found out any more information on this. Yeah, I don't know, right? Like, they're just waiting on so much data. But these cruise ships, you know, the cruise ships quarantined, like, wow, right? This is a KHN, and it just provides different, this is from Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, ABC News, NBC, so they provide different sources, right? And if you go down to the Wall Street Journal, it does say initial tests for 31 people showed 10 of them had the virus. So the initial 31, that's a third. And we know this thing is giving false positives, or false negatives. Meaning that you can be tested for it, and it not show up, but then, you know, you still have it. As was with the case with the woman from Toronto, Ontario. A woman in her 20s. She came back from Wuhan, and Upon arrival, she tested negative, but then 36 hours later, she started getting sick and, tested positive. So she could have caught it on the flight. You know what I mean? She caught it on the flight. You know, like, so, you know what I mean? It's this, if it's possible that it's airborne, like this, this news outlet's saying that, it might be, but according to a Shanghai official. Let's see what the health experts, let's just click on that link. Not secure. Oh, it's in Chinese. Of course it is. And it did say it was in Chinese, so I guess if it says that the link is in Chinese, well, I'm pretty sure you could probably Google Translate that. Maybe. Translate to English. Oh, technology is good. Oh, wait. Would not be translated. Why? Translate? How about this one? Oh. Oh, one might work. Just have to scroll down a little bit, maybe. Oh, and we got some audio coming through here on. We'll let that translator do whatever it's got to do. Here they are. Hopefully they give us some information that's useful, but I wouldn't count on it. I'm not counting on it, but they should have enough data now to call something, right? And if they don't, like, what the hell?
Good afternoon, everyone. To everyone here in the room in Geneva WHO headquarters. Also, good afternoon to journalists joining us online and by phone, and also to everyone watching us on WHO Twitter accounts. Today, we are continuing our daily briefings regarding novel coronavirus. Today, we are using a little bit different system, technically speaking, than usual. This is because it's a weekend and we were unable to use our normal system. So, as we have said in our invitation, some of you are joining us online. If you are joining online, so through internet connection, if you want to ask questions, please click on raise hand. That's in a participants' right-hand side, and you will be put in a queue for questions. If you are joining us by phone, then you need to type *9 on your keypad, and then you will enter into the queue for questions. Some of you have done that before, but we had to reset the queue, so please do that again, and sorry for any inconvenience. Today, beside Dr. Tedros, WHO Director General, Mike Ryan, Executive Director for Health Emergency Program, Dr. Maria Vankova, Technical Lead within the Health Emergencies Program. We also have Dr. Sylvie Briand, that you all know very well. You have seen her a couple of times, Director for Global Infectious Disease
Blah, blah. Come on, say something.
Miss Melinda Frost, who is Technical Officer.
Like, we don't need the formalities. Like, probably like 500 more people got infected while I was just introducing those people.
And this is something that
I'm glad that you like to waste time. It's fantastic.
Today, as always, we will have an audio file and transcript from this press briefing. I'm giving the floor immediately to Dr. Tedros.
Immediately. Yeah, a long time ago, bud.
First of all, my apologies. We should have started it at 4 p.m. But as you know, there is a board meeting running parallel. So I had a session where I was supposed to attend. So that's why we're late. So I hope you will understand. And thank you so much for bearing with us. And good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us on a Saturday. Today, I'm going to break with tradition and start with a brief update on the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Along with novel coronavirus, it's one of the many disease outbreaks that WHO is combating around the world. At this moment, our emergencies division is dealing with 216 ongoing events. Since the start of February, there have been 3 cases of Ebola in the DRC. It's clearly too soon to celebrate while there are cases anywhere in DRC, because the risk of spread within the country and to neighboring countries still remains very high. But this is the lowest recorded, and we see a positive trend. However, the progress deserves recognition, and despite ongoing security challenges, responders, the majority of whom are local people, have adopted and localized the response to increase its effectiveness and acceptance. Side by side with improved therapeutics, which are substantially decreasing mortality, as well as a safe and effective vaccine that has now been licensed, the response has dramatically been strengthened over time and provides a preparedness blueprint to fight future Ebola and other disease outbreaks. We must use the momentum in the DRC to finish off this Ebola outbreak and then look to the future by investing in building a strong and resilient health system that can quickly snuff out outbreaks in the future. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank the government of DRC for its leadership, and for our health workers and all responders, and to all partners who have supported the fight against Ebola. On the new coronavirus, here are the latest figures. As of earlier today, there were 34,598 confirmed cases in China and 723 deaths.
It doesn't
Outside
matter.
China,
The numbers aren't right.
there were 288 cases in 24 countries with 1 death. I would also like to speak briefly about the importance of facts, not fear, in the new coronavirus outbreak.
Yeah,
People
waiting on
must have
data, right?
access to
Waiting on
accurate
data.
information to protect themselves and others.
So they still have nothing.
While the virus spreads, misinformation makes the job of our heroic health workers even harder. It's diverting the attention of decision makers, and it causes confusion and spreads fear to the general public.
Well,
At WHO, we're not just battling the virus, we're also battling the trolls and conspiracy theorists that push misinformation and undermine the outbreak response. As the Guardian headline noted today, I quote, "Misinformation on the coronavirus might be the most contagious thing about it," end of quote. However, WHO and partners are fighting back with a four-pronged approach. First, we are leveraging our existing network called EpiWin, which stands for WHO Information Network for Epidemics. The WHO's risk communications and infodemic management team actively track misinformation in multiple languages. Second, WHO's infodemics team is working hand in glove with our communications department to deliver
so they're going to
information
start
to a broader
restricting media?
public audience. This includes addressing rumors by publishing mythbusters and live Q&A interviews with experts on our website and social channels and through the media. Third, we're also engaging with search, social and digital companies such as Facebook, Google, Tencent, Baidu, Twitter, TikTok, Weibo, Pinterest, and others. We're asking them to filter out false information and promote accurate information from credible sources like
Wow.
WHO, CDC, and others.
Wow.
And we
They're not
thank
going to
them
allow
for
people to
their
talk about
efforts
this, are they?
So far. Finally, we're connecting with influencers through Instagram and YouTube, among others, to help spread factual messages to their followers with a focus on Asia-Pacific region. In essence, to fight the flood of misinformation, we're building a band of truth tellers that disperse fact and debunk myths.
So what is fact? What is
Before
myth?
concluding,
You know,
I want
they
to
still don't
thank
know.
those donors who have made contributions in the past few days since we launched the $675
we're all
million
fucked, boys and
appeal
girls. We are.
to
These guys are
fuel
dropping the
new,
ball.
coronavirus response. It's really important to make sure that all activities of the response are adequately funded at WHO and key partners. Just to mention the donors so far and to thank them: the United States, the United Kingdom, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Netherlands, the Czech Republic, Japan, and the Wellcome Trust. But the response requires more funding, and we call upon all donors to please step up. I thank you.
All donors to please step up.
Thank you very much.
We need more money.
For this update on
Money's not going to matter if you can't
Democratic Republic
make
of the
anything.
Congo, as well as update on coronavirus. So we will start taking questions. Just to remind again those who are online, we already have a few questions online. If you are on your internet connection, then click raise hand in the right hand side of your screen. If you are by phone, please push *9 on your *9 on your keypad if you are calling by phone. Any questions here in the room? Mark, please. If you can.
Yes, Mark Webster from China Global Television.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Could I just ask you, Dr. Ryan, you said yesterday you've been in talks with some of the operators of the cruise liners where the people have been quarantined. The implication, I thought, of what you're saying is that each time there is a new outbreak, that means an additional 14 days of quarantine. Was that a correct understanding, or is it in fact? Because that would potentially be a very, very long quarantine indeed.
Thanks for the question. No, it was really, we have ongoing discussions with the, not with the cruise line companies per se, but with the authorities who are taking care of the investigations and the support to people on board. And certainly we have ongoing technical discussions with our colleagues in Japan, and we'll follow up again tomorrow with another technical call. So it's really about understanding how patients are being, not patients, people are being managed on board. So how they're being cohorted in different groups. Because if you assign 3,700 people to the same risk group, and then there's one more case, then you assume that possibility that 3,700 were exposed. That's not true, but you have to make that assumption. So by breaking the groups on board down into smaller numbers, you can then allow some people to pass through the incubation period, but some people might still be at risk. So this is really, and many around the world, and many
They don't know,
actually, if we look at
is what he's saying.
We're in touch with health authorities.
They have no idea.
Caribbean today, because they have many experts in how you
can't predict who was in contact with each other.
Ships, because our Caribbean health authorities have great experience of dealing with this. So we're reaching out to other partners as well. So the aim here is to ensure, and we again thank the Japanese authorities for the care they're providing. And remember, they are doing that. Anyone who is sick or is positive has been taken to care. But we're also working to ensure that those individuals who are left on the ships are able to get off as quickly as possible, and just ensure the protocols and the algorithms can work, and we don't end up with an unfortunate consequence of people having to stay too long in that situation.
So that just means nothing.
We'll take one
Nothing.
more question here. Dario, please.
They know all those people are fucked. Like, look at his head down. Like, he knows it's just terrible, right? They gotta speak protocol, right? These guys are 100% fact-based people, and not even a slight bit of speculation, right? So, even though they know what they know, unless there's data to back it up, they can't say it, right? And we all know what we know.
On the name, we're working on it. We're very close. So we will let you know as soon as possible.
Investigation,
Yeah, if I could start on the investigation in Singapore and elsewhere, and maybe others want to comment on this. Each instance of a case that's identified, not only within China but outside of China, is important. Every single case matters. Every single instance where there's the possibility of human-to-human transmission matters. Where in some countries where we are seeing some human-to-human transmission or a potential cluster, this is very important. It's important to understand who has come in contact with whom, how many of those contacts are leading to another infection, and what that means. You know, how did they come in contact with each other? What did that encounter entail? And where did the contacts of those contacts go? So yes, every single instance of human-to-human contact outside of China, and inside of China for that matter, is very important. So we are keeping a very close eye on that and making sure that we have detailed, I'm sure you've seen some of the images of looking at the cases and contacts with one another, but each one of those presents an opportunity for us to learn about this virus and how it transmits, so that we can learn more about control.
And just to add specifically on the Singapore cases, every day as we receive information on new cases from any of the countries, we try to link each and every new case reported to its existing transmission chain. So we don't just take each day as a new day. We will go back and see how that case, and we actually have a team looking at each individual transmission chain across all of the countries, so we can link each case to its potential origin and its potential exposure. And in this case,
You can't predict that.
Situation in Singapore, we had the cluster in Germany.
They don't know anything about it.
In various places, and the clusters
Right?
are of great interest to us because number one, they allow us to understand the virus, and number two, they are, as you say, particular opportunities for the virus to spread. So we're keeping an extremely close eye on clustering of cases.
Thank you very much, Stephanie.
Like, he's
please,
uneasy,
one
right?
question
He
for
knows,
Percy.
like,
A
it's
number of questions online.
something,
Stephanie, please go
right?
ahead.
Like, we're in for it.
Director General, if possible, sir, there's been anticipation of this WHO-led international mission. I believe on Wednesday you said it was very, very close. Can you tell us where you are on that? The board is ending. Are you able to make any announcement? And is the ball still in China's court? Can you confirm, the status? Have you submitted names?
Yes.
To the Chinese authorities?
Yes, we have submitted names, and I got a response actually today. So the team leader will be leaving either Monday or Tuesday. That's what we're aiming at now, and then the rest of experts will also follow after that.
They're only sending people to the ground in China now.
Clarification. Can you
Wow.
follow up? Can you say whether there will be CDC members as a part of that technical team, please?
That's we hope so. We have already submitted a list.
They're saying that the CDC are going to be part of the technical team. So,
Stephanie, now we will go
like, it's
online.
you can guarantee it's bad.
Can you hear us with this new system?
Yes, thanks. So I'll follow up on that because that was the question I also had. Is there any more information you can give us on who will be part of this team? Can you name the leader, and can you say a little bit about what their remit will be there, where they will go?
We will publicize everything as soon as we're ready, but we have already a team lead identified. But I think it would be good if we can release it with the rest of the team.
Wow.
Thank you.
They have a team leader identified, but they don't have one chosen.
Anne Galland. Anne,
they have no handle on this. Look at this, man.
There.
They don't.
Thanks very much for taking my question.
They have no handle on this.
Outbreak in the ski resort and the 5 British people. Sorry, I'm going a bit UK focused here. I just wondered what, if you're concerned about a ski resort, an outbreak at a holiday resort like that, with lots of people flying in from different places and then flying out again, and also whether you'll be able to quarantine people that have come into contact with these people that have been diagnosed with the disease. Thanks very much.
Yes, thank you. So indeed, now we have had the notification of 5 cases of people with symptoms that have been detected in France. They were from a family of 11 people from Brittany, and they have been Great Britain, sorry, and they have been they were having holidays in a ski resort in France, and but they were before coming to France for their holidays, they were in Singapore. So the people who have shown symptoms are currently hospitalized in Lyon and in Grenoble, but the investigation is ongoing to see who are the other contacts and to take the measures that are necessary. So this news is very recent. I mean, they were hospitalized yesterday. So
you can't
we are still
trace
waiting
contacts
for more
now,
information.
because if those contacts have it, they're passing it on to somebody who already passed it on to somebody who it's too far gone. You can't pick this up.
Sylvie, est-ce que tu peux répéter aussi en français? Ça va
Oui.
mieux pour nous.
Bien sûr, donc en français. Donc nous avons eu l'information qu'il y a donc une famille d'Anglais qui passait ses vacances dans d'une station.
They have no handle on this at all. They're only sending a ground team in tomorrow, and they have a leader in mind, but they don't have one selected to go in, like a team leader to go into the ground down here and get actual data, like look around and see, like, you know, what's going on. You know, we don't know what this is. You can guarantee that there's not going to be a whole lot of people stepping up to the plate on this. I'm probably not a whole lot qualified either, right? So it's, yeah.
Very much, Dr. Briand. Next question is Imogen from BBC. Imogen, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, it's also about the French cases, but a more general question. I mean, our information is that just one of these people had been in Singapore. I'm just wondering whether some of the things we're seeing of the cases outside China can tell you anything about the transmissibility of the virus, which a lot of people I've talked to say this is the question, that there's a lot of questions about that.
Imogen, I think you're absolutely correct, and that's one of the things we've been looking at, is that secondary, tertiary transmission, and where we see transmission either within families or in groups outside a country in which there have been previous cases, and whether again there's onward transmission from that. And there is no doubt that we've seen such clusters. But what has been obvious too is that those have been small clusters, and the overall number of people associated with those clusters has been very, very limited. The question remains as to whether we're in a lag phase and the rate of infection may pick up, or whether we're seeing more what is the natural history of the disease. And it's way too soon to tell that, but it is why these clusters are very unfortunate, and we feel particularly sorry for families who get caught up in this. It's a very frightening time. But those clusters also can teach us a lot about the natural dynamics of disease transmission, and we're doing exactly what you're actually suggesting, is looking very closely.
If I can add to that, just to say that it is, what we need are these detailed investigations that are happening in all of these clusters. And these are ongoing, as we understand. But in these investigations, following all those cases, following all those contacts, so that we can actually quantify what is happening in terms of transmission, in terms of shedding, in terms of if individuals are on the mild end of the spectrum or if they develop severe disease, this can help us really better understand this virus.
Thank you very much. We have a couple of other questions where we were not able to identify the caller, so we'll ask the next caller, who is calling us from Japan, if you can introduce yourself and media you are working for, and then ask the question. Please go ahead.
Okay, hi, could you hear me?
We can hear you very well. Hello, are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. I'm Kenji from Nikkei, calling from Japan. Okay, I have a question to the Director General regarding the forum next week, scheduled for February 11th and 12th, on the global research and innovation. I was wondering whether anyone from Taiwan will be in this forum, and well, if yes, I would like to know how many of them are coming from Taiwan and who they're coming, and would that mean that there's a change, a reversal in a policy of not allowing Taiwanese people or Taiwanese experts to join in any of the WHO organizations and the meetings? And if not, if they're not coming, could you tell us why they're not coming, even though this virus doesn't really have a boundary, and all scientists should be joining in? Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, just to clarify, there will be many hundreds of experts, 400 in total, but and they will be dialing in from all over the world. Many colleagues who are obviously in high-risk countries are taking the opportunity not to travel, and we will have Taiwanese colleagues online, as we will have experts from the rest of China online, and I'm sure they will listen attentively and they will contribute equally to the discussions. Again, to reassure, we've been very much technically engaging with Taiwanese officials and public health experts, and engaging in communicating and coordinating with them on any suspect or probable cases outside the country. They've been engaged in teleconferences with colleagues from China mainland and colleagues from the European Centre for Disease Control and tracking probable cases, and therefore we can assure you of this full technical cooperation with our technical counterparts in Taiwan and the rest of China. The DG may want to comment as well, because I know you've had other discussions.
I think that's enough.
Thank you very much. I think the next question comes from The Economist, but I don't have a name of the caller, so if you can hear us, please introduce yourself.
Yes, this is Slavea Chankova from The Economist. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well. Please go ahead.
Thank you. What kind of data has the WHO received from China on transmission rates, shedding of the virus?
You can't depend on nothing from China.
Anything?
Nothing.
From
they covered it up.
Hundreds of thousands of contacts.
Arrested their doctors.
Monitored at the moment.
Yeah, we're going to trust you, China. Yeah, thanks. Oh, no thanks.
So, we're receiving information from China daily on the cases that are being reported by area within China. There's information that we have received. In fact, we're active. Just read a paper that's recently come out from hospitalized patients in Wuhan. There's a lot of information that either comes through official channels or is being published. Is that okay? Okay. Which gives us more information around severity, which gives us some information on shedding. But this information is coming in daily almost. So what we've seen on transmission is that in this recent paper that's come out, it's looking at hospitalized patients, and we've seen some transmission that's happening in healthcare facilities, and this is very important because as we've said from the beginning, one of the areas that we're worried about for transmission is human-to-human transmission in healthcare facilities and the possibility of amplification events, which is why we've put out guidance and recommendations around infection prevention and control to make sure that we prevent hospital transmission. Do you want to add, Mike?
Wow.
Continue as the DG has.
We have no idea what this is.
Encourage and call upon our member states to share all relevant information with WHO, especially information related to cases, to investigations, to lab and environmental and other investigations. We continue to lag behind from a number of different sources, and we really do want to get that data so we can make the best possible global risk assessment.
So they don't have the data.
To all I know, every country is under great pressure. There's a huge amount of demand on everyone. But the quicker we build an effective and comprehensive global picture of this disease, the better we will be able to advise everyone regarding how we can control it together.
Thank you very much. So we will take a few more questions. Anyone here in the room?
It's big.
No?
You can guarantee it.
Wait, Dario, please go ahead. Just one.
And it's a lot bigger than what they're letting on anywhere, because they don't want to panic people. Let's wait on the facts, but the facts are costing time. And people know cruise ships are quarantined, schools are shut down, people are catching this thing everywhere. Like, it's spreading, but of course they gotta wait on facts and data.
So I appreciate the need to want to have this level of detail, and What we can tell you is what we're learning from the reported cases, what we're learning from these published studies, what we're learning from the information that we receive on the teleconferences, which, as we've said, is a global network of clinicians who are treating patients. The information is still early. I mean, we're still 6-7 weeks into this, and it is a growing picture of learning this. So we do have individuals who are on the severe end of the spectrum, on the mild end of the spectrum. And I said yesterday that we had some information from 17,000 cases where overall 82% of those individuals are mild, 15% are severe, and 3% are critical. We do have some information of mortality by age, which, as we've said previously, increases as age increases, with the highest mortality in those above 80 years old. These are snapshots right now in terms of, at this point in time, this is the number of people who have died out of the number who have been reported. And overall, that number of deaths versus those that are reported is between 1% and 2%. But as surveillance increases, as detection increases, the ability of countries to detect, we will be able to pick up more people who are on the more mild end of the spectrum. So that number will change. The proportion of people who die may change.
Thank you very much. Let's take one more question from online. We have someone calling from France. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, good afternoon. It's Hugo Miller calling from Bloomberg News. And I just wanted to ask, further to the latest statistics that Dr. Tedros gave about deaths and cases in China, could you provide any more detail about what the rate of spreading of the virus is outside Hubei? In other words, particularly important hubs, Shanghai, Beijing, but outside Hubei, are you seeing the rate of spread accelerating, decelerating? Any insight on that would be appreciated. Thank you.
The information that we receive, I'll start, and perhaps others will answer. So we receive data every day on the number of reported cases by province. And these numbers are something that we're plotting over time. I don't actually have these right in front of me right now. But what we were just looking at before the press conference started is that there's 2 areas outside of Hubei that have more than 1,000 cases right now. And so the numbers of reports it's hard to say if these are increasing or decreasing, because what we really want to know is when the symptom onset was. Not just the number of cases reported per day, but when that symptom onset was, so that we know if there's an acceleration or if there's an increase or a growing epidemic, or if it's actually turned.
Yep. And in addition, there has been a stabilization in the number of cases reported from Hubei. And we're in a sort of a 4-day stable period where the disease or the number of reported cases hasn't advanced. And that's good news, and may reflect the impact of the control measures that have been put in place. But remember, there are also lots of suspected cases still to be tested, so a lot of stuff has to work its way through the system. What we've seen are stable numbers outside the Hubei province, and we've seen quite a low but steady incidence in places outside. But those numbers, as I say, continue to grow slowly day by day, and it's not clear which of those provinces may end up having complete control over the disease, or in which provinces that may escalate in. And I think the Chinese authorities are taking extra actions in some provinces. They have some concerns, obviously, and we will see. We will track it. We track every single province on a daily basis. And we hope that the same stabilization that appears to be occurring in Wuhan also occurs outside. But again, it's very, very, very early to make any predictions about numbers in this outbreak. This is still a very intense disease outbreak in Wuhan and Hubei, and there are still great risks in practically all of the other provinces. So we will wait and see.
So to add maybe to that, out of the 34,000 cases, close to 25,000 are from Hubei province. And then we have two provinces with more than 1,000 cases. These are Guangdong and Zhejiang. The rest are less than 1,000 cases. And if you see the trend, it's actually not really accelerating. But of course, very difficult to give the details of what's happening. But it's not a significant increase if you take it day by day in the rest of the provinces. So the centerpiece is actually Hubei. And even in Hubei, we see some stabilizing in the last 4 days. But even that, I think we have to understand it with caution. Because, as you know, epi curves can show some stability for a few days and then they can shoot up. And especially with, as you said, super spreaders and so on, and community transmission, it's very hard or not really right to speculate. But what we know is we have to give it our best, especially at the source, especially in Hubei province. And I think that's paying off because the spread to the rest of the world from Hubei is really, to the rest of China and to the rest of the world, is actually slow. In the rest of the world, we have 288 cases. And the increase is slow since we declared peak. But again, even the global spread, I said it many times, it's slow now, but it may accelerate. So while it is still slow, there is a window of opportunity that we should use to the maximum in order to have a better outcome and to further decrease the progress and ultimately stop it.
And we will take really the last question from our friend Helen Branswell. Helen, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Not so well. Can you speak a little bit louder, please?
Sure. I wanted to follow up on something Maria said a few minutes ago about having data showing the demographics of the fatal cases. You said the rate was higher above 80. Can you give any more detail?
Thanks, Helen. So I can give you a snapshot of some case fatality rates by age. It's not recent, but it's based on 7,000 cases where we see an increase in age, where the highest was above 80 years old. And it does steadily increase if we look at under 29, 30 to 49, 50 to 59, 60 to 69, and then the highest in that 80. But again, so one of the things that's really important when we're considering mortality, when we're considering deaths, is looking at these individuals who are infected with this novel coronavirus and if they have underlying conditions. We do know that there are certain underlying conditions that make people more at risk for developing severe disease and death. And this profile is still the same as we reported previously, with underlying conditions such as diabetes and hypertension. And so those are important things to collect. We have recently released a case report form, a clinical case report form, which we are encouraging hospitals and clinicians to use so that standardized data collection can be captured from patients who are hospitalized. And by using this form, we will get a better picture of how individuals who are infected with this virus, what their disease progression is, and so that we can capture this information to have a better picture of what disease and severe disease looks like.
Thank you very much. With this, we will conclude this daily press briefing. The audio file will
follow.
follow.
There was no information into that, right? We never got any information, but let's go check some information that I have been picking about. And, we got to take it with a grain of salt, right? Of course we do. But, this thing is showing up. It's undetectable in some cases. So as with this woman here who flew from Wuhan to Toronto, Ontario, and then drove to her home in London, Ontario. Now she was tested on her return back, and she tested negative. And then 36 hours later, after going home to London, Ontario, she gets ill and goes to the hospital and tests positive. So there's a factual case right there, you know what I mean, that it is being missed. You know, how many times is it being missed? We don't know, but we can assume that if you were in your early stages, like she probably was, she could have most likely caught this on the plane. Because now there's there's another doctor here. This is Claxon Global. And if we run down here, there is a health commissioner who says that this is probably aerosol in nature, which is not the greatest news, because that means it's airborne, right? And if you're in a plane with people, it would be super easy to contract this, and almost everybody would, and just might not show symptoms right away. We know that there's a lag behind the symptoms, that you can have this and feel great, but you're still spreading it. And there's cruise ships now quarantined. Those numbers are real numbers. We can look at these numbers. These numbers are real. So in the Wall Street Journal, cruise street passengers quarantined on board. This was the first article that came out, besides the one that was released in Japan. So there was 273 tests done. 31 tests came back out of those 273, and 10 of them were positive. So that's a third. And we know that this thing, when you first get it, it's very hard to detect. So we can almost say that it's going to be more than a third, because we can almost assume that some of these people are going to be testing negative when they're in fact positive. It just might take a little longer for some people systems to build this so it can show up, which is very scary, right? We know these numbers are so skewed, like beyond. The Chinese, they arrested the goddamn doctors. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, what? You go and arrest your doctors for talking about this? This was December 30th, when he had a WeChat conversation. Let's go to Wiki here. They give a great breakdown of everything as it happens. So, and it is, it's take it with what you will, right? But this is factual. Daddy? Yes, buddy? Okay, nothing then. Okay, so because these patients did not respond to traditional treatments, they were quarantined in the ER department. And then he had a WeChat online with not with public people, just with his fellow doctors. This wasn't done publicly, but now the Chinese police come in and arrest the 8 doctors for engaging in this form when he was trying to alert his fellow people to say, hey, put some protective gear on. There's something crazy going around. We don't know what this is. Kind of having a discussion about it, and then next thing you know, he's arrested and accused of spreading false lies and blah 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 blah, disrupting social order. And you have China refusing the US's help just until now. They just accepted the World Health Organization's invitation to go there and try to figure out what this is. But the US has also extended, a hand to say, hey, we'll go in there too. But the US wants to send in a technical team, and they are biohazard team, and they consist of the CDC, and they consist of like the military, and you can bet that these guys are good at what they do if they're sending them to ground zero, right? So it's crazy, and this thing is all lagged behind, right? Everything is lagged. We're not seeing like what we should be out of China, and they're giving us information just as whenever they feel like it. They said that they only received 38% of complete case forms on all this, so you know what I mean? It's just a logistical data disaster at this point. And the World Health Organization, they can't make any goddamn moves until they get data. Really, even if they could see the world burning down around them, they'd be like, well, we got to run those tests again. Can you run those figures again just to make sure? You know what I mean? That's the way they operate. It's procedure and protocol and statistical analysis. And if they don't have the data, you know what I mean? They can't make a declaration and say, well, this is the way it is. You know, these guys are raped by the books beyond what you would ever possibly imagine. And they'd be like, the humanitarian crisis breaking down everywhere. And they'd be like, well, you know, let's get some more studies done. You know, we don't got enough information on this. But I think they're going to get a pile of data from these cruise ships. And they already have, right? A third of the people came back positive so far. And you can almost expect that number to be a lot more than that. You know, 3/4 of the ship, if not all of them, are going to be infected now because, you know, it's circulating the air. They're quarantined on the ship. They're not allowed off. They're isolated into their rooms, which, you know, is also terrifying in a sense. You got these people walking around in spacesuits and, you know, you're just trying to enjoy your cruise and it's like, what the hell? And then they lock you to your room and they, you know, you're getting shitty meals and you're getting nothing and all the liquor ran out. They're not feeding people liquor anymore because I guess, you know, they'd be, you know, giving people liquor in a high stress situation like that could, you know, lead to problems. So they stopped giving people liquor, and I think that's what happened. People were starting to get a little drunky, and you know, whoever they, you know, it's harder for them to contain, right? For sure. So it's not very good for them right there. But in the silver lining, you know, the world's going to gather a ridiculous amount of data from this about possibly how it's transmitted, and they have no idea what it is, right? And they still don't. You have the world's best scientists coming together, and nobody knows what this is. And there's a lot of speculation, right? There's a ton of speculation. And the numbers just keep rolling. And like we don't have to forget about the numbers for a second. Just look at the chart. Just pretend that's a billion people, because, you know, it's not funny, but, you know, that's the way this should be read. It shouldn't be read as integers because we're not getting the information at all. You know what I mean? Like that's just all of China. You can just assume all of China has this. At this point, you know, other places like it. Look, you can see the travel path that it went, right? It just went right over. You know, it's not really affecting up here, or down here, down here. It went straight across Europe into North America, up into Canada. And then, no, you know, if they cut that, you know, if they saw that off right there, they might do all right. You know, and with these people, but we don't know. You know, Africa's dealing with an Ebola outbreak right now. And the World Health Organization is completely almost drown, or you know, they don't have any resources because they've been fighting this Ebola outbreak, and there's also stuff going down. Yeah, they have 216 ongoing. But you know, the biggest ones are the Ebola one down in Africa, and I think something down in South America. Yeah, but you know what I mean, it's either or. It's they got their hands full already, you know, so resources are already kind of depleted. And you have companies in China retrofitting their lines, and now these aren't little companies. These are Foxconn and like iPhone producers and makers, and you have them turning their factories or their production lines and retrofitting them to make masks. That's right, doctors' masks, you know, because they have almost like, there's like nothing globally. They don't even have enough to protect the frontline workers. Hong Kong nurses and stuff are all on strike. I was reading an article yesterday, and they called it, what was it called? The Dirty Crew. and that's what it was. They got, there was a random generation of numbers out of the staff, and out of those random generation of numbers, it was who was going to be assigned to the isolation wards where this stuff, you know, is active right now. So, you know, they called it, you know, the Dirty Crew. And, you know, people that were assigned to it immediately resigned. There was 4 or 5 people that immediately resigned. There was a doctor that said he wanted to resign, but he can't because he just paid his taxes, and he's got a family and he's got all these bills and he just bought a house and da 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 da. But you know what I mean? So he said he would have quit too. But there's certain people that are excluded from this. Now, it's the uppermost doctors and they're excluded. But then there's the people under them and they're excluded. But then there's like the general practitioners and people like or another level down, I guess. And basically it's just all them. The top people don't want to have nothing to do with this. And they're almost excluded. So the workers are trying to say, well, hey, if we got to be here, you guys got to be here too, which is 100% right. You know what I mean? Like, why say, oh, you got to do your job and you get down there, but I'm not gonna. Like, what kind of hell is that? You know what I mean? And so that's why they're all pissed off. They're saying, no, we're not going to deal with this. You guys don't want to deal with it. We're not going to deal with it. And that's creating problems. And all these people are in Japan. This cruise ship, there's got 2 of them, and they're just unloading people every day. And they're going to like these isolation units. And Japan was already, Hong Kong, more specifically, their healthcare was already kind of stressed before all this. They were having issues before all this. With staffing and da 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 da, and just operational side of things, right? So now they really have a problem. You know what I mean? They can't contain it over there. They can't. This is not going to be able to be contained over there. So what do you do to a country that you just can't contain it? Do you just let it burn through everybody and let them suffer a inhumane, beyond words, like straight back to the Stone Age type of, because it would be. There'd be nothing running. There'd be nothing anywhere. Everything would be in total chaos. There'd be no rule. There'd be no law. There'd just be whatever, right? A survival of the fittest. Nature. So what would you do? You just sit by and watch all this unfold, or would you like hate to say it, but like offer them a way out, to put it lightly. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like what? You got to be thinking of those possible situations right now. You know what I mean? Like there's women, children, kids, fucking everybody over there suffering from this, right? And so like, do you let them suffer and just like keep getting infected and like just suffer, or offer them a way out? You know what I mean? Like maybe they should be just injecting people, or I don't know what the option would be to do, but it's inhumane to sit there and watch just devour people, right? So that's another aspect on the whole thing, right? And I understand, like, it's going to be, there's going to be collateral damage from this, and there's going to be a shit ton of it. You can guarantee it. And whatever it is, however it got out, or whatever, they say it's an animal, but they haven't found the animal source. 61 people now positive on those cruise ships. All right, so 61 people came back. I think it was 171 tests, and 61 people are positive. So that's still a third on paper, but we know this is super elusive and it's tough to track down. It's just a shit show level event, and they're barely talking about it because they have no data. No data, right? That's what they're waiting on. And you could see in that interview, Mike was answering those questions. Like, they were shifty, right? They were shifting in their seats, and like Mike put his head right down, like, you know what I mean? Like you can tell that like they know it's bad, but they can't do nothing until there's data. They can't officially release something to the public and say, hey, this is what it is, but they can't. Why? Because it's a bureaucratic, and it's like a fucking policy, procedure, red tape, and you got everybody, probably fighting against, this, saying, well, this isn't nothing, this, why are you making such a big deal, and where's the evidence, where's the science? They're probably getting that from other countries, right? Because other countries are probably getting pissed off and probably scared about the whole thing, but I think everybody's kind of starting to see that these little numbers that we have in our neck of the woods, in North America and South America, Europe and Africa, There's none there yet though, but you know, the little numbers, those, you know, that started with a little dot. You know what I mean? It didn't just grow into that. It magically appear. It took time, but how much time? We don't know. And they're saying that there's super spreaders now, which is extremely alarming, because like super spreaders are people who are just ridiculously contagious. Like they will infect everybody they come in contact with. It's yeah, crazy, right? It is. It's bananas, and they're not going on nothing because they don't actually have factual data, and that's going to be our downfall. But I'm going to finish this off here with a little video, and I can almost guarantee most of these videos, like maybe there's one or two that are kind of questionable whether they're authentic, but everything else in here is bang on. It's all real. I've seen these, and vetted them as best as I could. So yeah, check it out.
更加让我震撼的事情，这个我这位台湾的朋友去江泽民家去看江泽民的时候，他进去以后，江泽民呢，老人家用英文，
you can see everybody has masks on.
用英文跟台湾朋友讲，世界要乱啦，
And they beat this guy. They beat him to death because
你们要准备点后路啦。
he tried to get in the border when they shut the border down. He tried to get through, and then they beat him. And this guy snitched on somebody and told his neighbor that he had a fever, so the neighbor went after him, and yeah. These are the workers building that big hospital. They all got into her. Like everybody's just heat, right? And these are older. These are older images. Like, they buried the roads. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like, they cut off all their transportation. The ambulances can't get through or nothing. Like, it's...
现在就像我在
And you can tell it's real. It's, everybody got
整
face
个
masks.
中国的这场疫情，接下来将形成人与人之间最大的一场仇恨的战争，就是共产党培养了70年人与人之间的自私、拉仇恨，啊，和对人的洗脑，养成的无知无畏，啊，那种暴力行为，和整个全民都是有心霾的这种情况，将导致人道大灾难。
All the taxi drivers
这
blocked
是
off the
很恐
roads.
怖的。这场人道大灾难，啊，正在迸发中，在全国各地。请告诉我，发动的是共产党，谁能停下来？一旦启动，没有人能停下来，就像这个冠状病毒一样啊，被共产党可能啊被共产党的解放军给放出来，或者是无意放出来，他能收回去吗？他收不回去了。现在整个全国上下人心里边又放了冠状病毒啊，这种冠状就叫心霾冠状病毒，大家自私啊、无知啊、无法了，随便打人，随便这个把人给关起来，随便封上门，这是犯罪呀！啊，所以说，亲爱的兄弟姐妹们，整个咱们这个14亿的同胞被共产党绑架70年以后，现在以最快的速度走向人间的地狱呀！不但要走向人间的地狱，还要带到全世界下去，要把我们的在国内的所有的家人、同胞、同事们通通带走。我们现在能做什么？传播爆料革命真相，尽可能将国内你看到的、听到的真相发出来。
Yeah, it's you know what I mean? And he's saying like it's just going to hell in a handbasket. And you can see it. It is. And we got over here that they locked down 54 cities. Yeah, but anyways, they did. They locked down like 54 additional cities as of yesterday. Well, officially they're not locked down. They say they're not locked down, but they're just asking everybody to stay inside. What's, you know? But they're taking it to an extreme. You're caught outside. You get caught outside. They are now enforcing the death penalty. And that's true. It's crazy, right? See what the latest updates are. What is coronavirus? We don't know. So stop trying to tell people it's based off SARS or it's based off MERS or well past outbreaks and this and that and yeah, so that's crazy. There's the British people that were at the ski lodge. Child is one of the 5 Britons who tested positive for the virus among the group who came in contact with one person who had been to Singapore. One person and infected 4 people. Well, this thing's ridiculous, right? And this is at a ski resort. There's nobody else up there. Like this could be that could wipe out that whole town there. It's there. You know what I mean? They were at the ski resort. They were talking with people. They were probably going to the club or they're, you know, doing ski stuff like out and around. You know, they're probably interacting with people at some point in time. And who do they spread it onto there? And who's that person spread it onto? You know what I mean? It's just wildfire. Can't not contain this. Can't do it. Take it into your own hands, right? Because they're waiting on data, and if you're in a big city, I'd just be chilling. and if you could, you know, I don't know. I'm not giving you, but I know what I would do. I would be I'd be gone to a cabin if I could, if I had that. Yeah. But anyway, with that, we're gonna leave it there, and I'll give you updates as they keep coming out and rolling out. I'm sure there'll be lots. Thanks for watching. Share, like, all that subscribe stuff, and take care of yourself. Be aware. Yeah, it is. Chris G is a floating prison, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. They turned away the other cruise ship too. There's actually 4 of them, I think, involved in this, but there's 3 that are. There's one in New York, I think, or something that's quarantined. Which is they're screening for people, and they got 4 people that they're looking at. That country. It's just. It's unstoppable, right? Unless everybody can just chill out. And the media is not. They're gonna post like nice things and like, you know, they'll say what they say, but don't expect them to be coming out with anything because they're trying to limit the panic right now, and they don't want to. They don't want to be. And they've been told, right? They have been told, you know, don't be spiking conspiracy theories, and they did that in the latest update. They're doing all these blah blah blah, like, you know, they don't want anybody thinking about it or talking about it or even questioning it. It's like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't talk about it because it's real. That's why you can't talk about it, because it's serious. That's why you can't talk about it, because if you start spreading stuff and it gets people in a panic, well, then they lose it before they can get a hold on it. But regardless, you can't stop people from panicking. It doesn't matter if you build it up and build it up and build it up like this. It's just going to create more, and they're waiting on data, so they can't make any official statements, right? So, but if you go back and you watch the stream, you'll see, like during the questions, you can tell that those guys are they're beside themselves, right? They don't know what to do either. They can't make any moves without data. So, their hands are tied. Even if the place does look like it's burning down around them. They just got the offer to go and put boots on the ground in China. From the World Health Organization's perspective. I don't think they accepted the US's offer to go in, because the US is sending in like a technical team, and the World Health is as well. It is a technical team going in there to do data research and gather, check out what's going on humanitarian wise and all the inner workings, right? And will they report the actual facts to us? Not without data. Watch out for that. Watch out for all those fake videos. Watch all those videos coming out of China. They're all fake. Watch it. And they didn't say anything about, they just said, they didn't particularly name out any videos or anything, right? They didn't say, hey, well, these ones are fake. Yeah, these ones are fake. And, because like the most ones circulating around, I don't know, I think they'd be like, no, squash this one. But anyway, right? And this guy's been missing. Nowhere is to be seen. Could you imagine? He's usually a part of the daily news there, like 5 times, 6 times a day, or like 15 articles in the same newspaper. He's just polluted. He is, the basically a god there, or represents himself as a god, and now he's nowhere to be seen, and all of a sudden he just disappears after 10 years of just being constantly involved in like everything, and now he's not. Now he's gone. And the people see that, right? And the people know that he lied. So they're in a big uproar. They're not too happy, right? Situation there is not good. Right? Critics say China has suppressed and censored information. Yeah. Oh. We know that they did. Of course they did. They arrested the doctors. That's real now. We know it. Everybody knows. So, what is it? We can't prove it, but we can't make any action plans. But anyway, we'll continue on this again. There is all kinds of news stuff coming out. If you guys have any questions, shoot them down there. I'll try to do some research for you and figure it out best I can. I've been following this since day one, and yeah, it's just a show, right? It's. Yeah, the videos from China, it's just little pieces. Afro, yeah, man, it is. It's just little pieces of video, but who knows? There was very limited that got out when I first started watching this. I've seen all these videos, like most of them that you're seeing now. There's only very few that I haven't seen lately. Because they all came out before the big lockdown, and after the lockdown happened, once they shut down Wuhan, the city of Wuhan, well then almost after that they really started scrubbing hard, right? But before that, they didn't really realize the gravity of the situation until things started like actually really presenting itself. But the daily people who live there seen this happening around them, every day, and they crowded hospitals, but those videos are way old. They are way old, and you can guarantee that there is some biblical shit going on, like in certain places, right? Like, of course, Wuhan's the first infected, so if anything's going down and it's going to break, society's going to collapse, it's going to be there first, and then it's just going to be a wave, just an outward wave, if it already hasn't happened, so it's rough, right? They still don't know what it is and nothing about it. But we got a pile of infected people on a cruise ship, and they just keep rolling off more. But Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm going for a smoke, and I'm going to smoke a joint and all that kind of, and have a coffee. I blah, 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 blah. Spit it out. I suggest everybody else go and smoke a big L too, if you got them. Smoke them if you got them. With that, thanks. Peace.